Hello, hello, my name is Ken. Welcome to my Fundamentals of GeoGuessr Duels series. In this series, we're starting with a brand new GeoGuessr account and working our way up from the Bronze Division all the way up until hopefully Master 1. And we are a few episodes in. Unfortunately, I recorded earlier today and the audio was not working at all, so you missed 6 games. Maybe I'll talk about them a little bit, but the good news is we didn't see a whole lot of South America, which is one of the regions that we're trying to focus on right now. With this series, we're starting like at the very basics, just figuring out what continent you're on, and then kind of drilling deeper. So when we got to South America, I thought that the best idea would be to actually look at each individual country and use the learnable meta maps to learn those. And as we reach them, we'll take a deeper look. The other thing that we ran into in the last episode was we kept seeing Spain over and over and over again. So we decided to take a little bit of time and learn it, but we didn't actually look at the Plunkett guide or any specific examples. So I do want to take a minute to take a look at that now. So here's the Spain guide on Plunkett. I'll post a link in the description. So of course we're in Europe for Spain, and they do have those long European license plates, which we saw when we ran into Spain. We did not see this bollard. So there is this yellow reflector on the Spanish bollards. I sometimes confuse this one with Lithuania. In Lithuania, it's a little bit darker. It's like almost an orange, but this is more yellowish. So, and hopefully the landscape will differentiate those two. We didn't talk about poles, I don't think. So the poles in Spain will often look very similar to the poles in France. So I think we talked about this pole in particular when we were talking about Ecuador. So in Ecuador, they have these step poles. They kind of look like Brazil, but they're actually closer to the ones you'll see in Spain and France. And then you also see this pull topper. So it kind of looks like if you've been to the gym with the lat pull down, it looks like that thing. So that's really common in France and Spain, and then also Senegal. You'll see that there. So keep your eye out if you're in Africa for those poles. And then I did want to talk about these road signs. So don't pay attention to the color. These can be any color of the rainbow. Green, blue, red, yellow, orange, all of those colors. But the key here is kind of the format. So they have the route number, which has a prefix and then a number, and then they have the kilometers down here. If you want to spend some time learning Spain, these can be helpful to learn. So the letters. The major regions of Spain are a little bit easier to learn. It does get pretty tedious when you drill down. I did spend a little bit of time learning the major ones, but those are sometimes helpful, not always. So if you're in a rural area, these no hunting signs are pretty common throughout Spain. The other thing we can look for are the yellow reflectors on the guardrails. There are a few other countries in Europe that do that, but it's not very common. The two things that we noticed in our previous games were this crosswalk with the 8 million lines, no, 8 lines. The one other place that I can think of that you might get confused is Switzerland. So in Switzerland, you'll often see quite a few hashes on the sign. So just be careful there. And then this stop sign. So these are the squished down letters. So in most other countries, if you see the word stop, the letters are very tall. They've kind of squared them off in Spain. So that's pretty unique for the country. And then I think most of these other ones are not super helpful, at least at the earlier levels. Maybe the Calais for street. that can be helpful. So that's Spain. Let's take a look at our click map. So let me move my camera there so that you can see. And so if you are just joining us, the idea here is that I don't want to make amazing guesses as an experienced player and kind of crush the new players. What I want to do is give you the basics to help you identify first continents and then regions, and then based on that, give you kind of a good hedge guess. So initially, we had 6 or 7 different locations, and as we've drilled down, we've added places. So in the last episode, we added all of Latin America, actually, with the exceptions of Costa Rica and Panama, because the learnable meta map that we used to learn these countries didn't include those. So it was the learnable Latin America that we played. And then we also added Spain. So Portugal, if unfortunately we weren't able to hear anything in my last recording, so I've already deleted that. We ran into Portugal like 4 or 5 times, so I did add that, but I'm gonna take that back out for now. If we run into a few and we can find some comparisons to Spain, maybe we'll lump it in as the Iberian Peninsula region. But for now, we'll treat Portugal as just our European guess. So if we see Portugal, we'll guess on the corner here. And then yeah, so Oceania is still one location. We did split up the U.S. and Canada from Mexico, and then some of these other ones from the learnable meta we've added in. We did run into Guatemala in the actual last episode, and I was really hoping to show you today's. Well, I'll show you the results of today's daily challenge. So if we'll take a look at this, so I think it was so round 2. We'll click into that. Spoilers. So here it looks like we have the Guatemala car bars, and if you had just memorized that meta and immediately clicked, you would have been on the wrong side of the world. So I kind of mentioned this in the last video, like great, learn those metas, but you also need to like consider your other clues. So here, this language is clearly not Spanish. The flag is not the Guatemalan flag. I actually don't know what that looks like, but we are clearly not in Central America in this location. I mean, it does look a little tropical, so if you don't zoom in, then you might still get lost. But yeah, even the other popular one that I mentioned, so Ghana, which has the tape, you can get that one confused with this little island, I think Reunion here. I think that's the island that also has that black tape on the car bar. So yes, definitely learn the metas. You're going to have to learn them if you want to be successful at the game. Actually, in my regular account, I just lost a game because I didn't see the Nigeria car meta. There's a follow police car in Nigeria, and I just completely missed it, and ended up going Kenya and lost one of those games because I didn't recognize the meta. So it is important to know, especially as you continue to get better. So yeah, I think that's all we have to cover for now. We won 4 out of the 6 games that we played in my failed recording, but we'll just do play again. I'm not going to use any tokens because we are pretty high up and we are definitely safe for promotion. So let's get to it. And we'll see what our opponent looks like in just a second. Hopefully this will load quick. So it looks like we're strong in Mexico and US despite like just clicking the middle of the countries there. the Austria one is probably because when we guess Austria, we're Europe, we're right next to Austria. So we have these long license plates. What else do we have? This could be Spain, but I don't. We do have those polls. Why don't we give a Spain guess since we're now playing with Spain? So Portugal, Spain. Okay, we're on the peninsula. I think that was better than if we were all the way over in Europe for sure. Okay. We have, I'm gonna, let's see, what kind of license plates do we have? They look like long license plates. I don't see a blue on them. It's hard to see if there's a language here. Looks like Spanish. So, and we do have the Spanish route marking. So I think we're safe to go Spain again here. And they're going to guess Valencia. And whew, oh, this opponent is from Spain. So we're in for it on this one. All right, let's see here. I think we're outside of Spain finally. Can't go too much further that way. Can we see any language? Attention. We have a lot of bikes. What else do we have? Skyflakes, huh? Sounds delicious. Jackie's store. We do have concrete, lots of motorcycles. I think a Southeast Asia guess, probably Philippines here, but we'll guess just a generic Southeast Asia. And it looks like they're going Indonesia. I think that's a fine guess. Unfortunately, we can't get too far in this spot to see more details, but yeah, everything here is pointing towards Philippines. So, and even though they look further away, they are closer. Interesting. All right, so we have long license plates. It looks fairly cold. I don't see anything specific that would draw us to any of our other countries outside of the center of Europe. So we'll just do our Central Europe guess. So it's not going to be the British Isles, not going to be gosh, this guy, he knows his Europe pretty well, I think. Oh, maybe not. So yeah, just guessing right in the center of Europe worked there for us. So we looking like Latin America. Let's see if we can find some more details here. So we have some tuk-tuks. So tuk-tuks are common in Peru. What else can we say about this? We do have those mountains, those dry mountains that are, again, common in Peru. Maybe Bolivia and Chile. So, but this pole looks more Peruvian to me. So this is our Peru guess, just outside of Lima. It looked like our opponent was similar, and they can't decide between Peru and Bolivia. And that was a good switch at the end there for them. So it's good. All right, we are back in Europe, it looks like. Probably Portugal. This player is going to know it. So I could tell Portugal by the license plates. So there is a blue on the left and yellow on the right in Portugal, and they're going to be speaking Portuguese. I did say that we were just going to guess Europe for this, so it is the long plate. We haven't explicitly looked at Portugal, and our opponent's going to get it and probably win the game right here. So we do The game does have a lot of European players. It's very popular in. Um, oh, I could have moved my camera. The game is very popular in Europe, um, especially with the World Cup. The European players do very well. I think the last few champions have been from Europe, so it's kind of like when we see the U.S. So as an American player, I see the U.S. I can kind of tell where we are. The Europeans are much better at identifying Europe, and when we have rounds with so much Europe, it's just going to be tough for us until we play and we explicitly take some time to learn those countries. But for the most part, just guessing in the middle of Europe will serve us well. Oh, I should have reviewed the game there, especially because we had Peru, but let's move on. So we're against another American here. And let's click around. This is, maybe we can zoom in on the plates. Those look longer plates. Did we see a sign? I don't. Let's look at this sign here. See if we can tell anything by that. That doesn't tell us a whole lot. This one's probably similar. And yeah, I think we should probably, well, let's keep looking, because these cars, I don't know if they have European plates. So let's see if we can we get off this road? See if we can read this sign. Venta de Lina. Huh. So it looks more Spanish to me. Can we see the sun? Sun is in the north. So yeah, let's start thinking about South America, because those plates didn't look European. Can we figure out a country now? Oh, I went too far. I was hoping to. Sometimes the signs disappear. Okay, I don't recognize those signs. I don't have a great guess for where in South America we are, so I think we'll just give it the old South America guess. Argentina was Chile. Okay, so we lost a few points there. That is fine. Sometimes those highways can be a little tricky if you don't see any specific clues. All right, so we had these Japanese bollards with the orange on top. So we're gonna say that that is Japan and guess it pretty quickly. And it looks like our opponent might have a little difficulty with this. We'll see if they recognize that top of that bollard there, and they're not going to. So we're going to get massive points there. So good recognition on that. And I just clicked on the middle of the country there. So we have the long license plates, regular stop signs, Latin letters, but not necessarily English. So let's go with Europe, put it in a regular Europe guess. And I think that's going to be a good good hedge for where we are. See, can you see the domain? Yeah, not sure. So he's in Vienna. Good guess. So American playing well in Europe. That is not often the case, especially at these lower levels. All right, now we are driving on the left. We have, it looks a little tropical. The road line doesn't match my expectations here. We are driving on the left though, right? Left, right, left, right. Let's go with our Southern Africa guess. They're there as well, and that is good enough for a few points. And now we are back in the good old US of A. Is that a Colorado flag? I think he'll probably know that. We're going to guess here. Um, does he know his Colorado flag? I think he should. He should. And where are they guessing? Yep, he knows it. So good job. And we're still alive. So that's one of the first players that has actually beaten us in the U.S. He is an American. So we got long license plates. We have let's see, any other clues here? University Stellenbosch. I don't know where that is. We don't have a domain name there. That would have been helpful, but it did look like Europe. Maybe I should have looked closer. It looks like we might be stopping on the wrong side of the road there. Oh, that was not Europe at all. We'll have to take a closer look at that at the end of the game. But thankfully, it looked like Europe to our opponent as well. Here we have the long plates again, Burger King, and everything is blurred. All right, we got these signs are maybe Spanish or Portuguese. So I think we should probably go on the Iberian Peninsula at least. So middle of Spain, guess. Looks like these poles are actually Portuguese. So again, hey, we're running into a lot of Portugal. So, and our opponent is going Brazil, and that's going to win us the game. So, one good game. Do we have to learn Portugal yet? Maybe we do. So that will be a strong thing. So I've been telling you guys to hit this history button this whole time, and I just noticed today you can just click right up here and get your breakdown for the last game. So let's take a look. So we had Chile in this first one. Very tricky one. I think initially I thought we were going to be in Europe, just based on it looks so cold. I didn't notice this truck, but and the cars look too big, and yeah, so tricky round to get Chile. And then these signs, I think, we may have seen these signs, I don't recall. But I don't notice anything that like screams out to me Chile on here. We did eventually figure out that we were in South America. Maybe those signs, that was what did it. So they do have these yellow markers on the guardrails. I don't recall off the top of my head if that was indicative of Chile, but we got our South America guess. I think that is probably a poor example of Chile. We got Japan, so these bollards with the circle on top. We talked about that for Japan. They also have a lot of these weird signs. The other thing I notice here is this plant here. So let me go back to the map. All through like up here in this is actually Russia, and then all the way down to northern Japan, you'll see that plant on the side of the roads. And if you are in Russia, that can be some huge points if you're able to recognize that plant. They call it what do they call it? Something cabbage. I don't recall, but yeah, I'll just show you again. So it looks like this. It can look even bigger. Looks kind of like rhubarb. It does. Let's see, where else were we going? So South Africa, that was so I expected to have white center lines. I don't, maybe it's just dirty. and you can't tell. It does. We do have white here. It didn't look white when I was looking. Sun, did I check the sun? I don't know if I did, but it is in the north. And then we have a lot of people with darker skin. So, and then there's, let me go back to, let me reopen that. There was a van that has a kind of a distinct design. Yeah, here we go. Oh, it's like, it's the South African flag. So that'll, and you'll see this on a lot of vans. It'll kind of like wave out like that. Um, so that's very common in South Africa to find that specific van. I think, did I skip this one? I did. They were able to figure out Vienna. I think if we had stepped around and looked at maybe the street signs, we could have gotten to Vienna. So this is a common street sign in Vienna. And it's dark blue with this border and then the number and the street name. So that is probably how our opponent got that. That is a pretty common clue that you're going to see in some of those learnable meta maps. So not surprised that they knew that. We talked about that. US, so we had the US flag along with the Colorado flag. So not surprised that our American friend there got Colorado. Very recognizable flag. And then we both missed this one. Gosh, even looking at this a second time, my immediate thought is Europe, because this do not enter. We're looking at these long license plates. Although did I mention, I think in the round I mentioned they don't have the blue edge. So maybe that could have gotten us there. And I didn't even bother to look at the sun. Didn't see these palm trees at all. Maybe we could have gotten at least to the southern hemisphere if we had noticed that. So I think I likely would have been more apt to go Australia, although with that mountain, then that would bring me back to South Africa. So very tricky round there. And then we did get the correct continent here. So two continents in a row that my opponent missed. They played very well, but very common to see mistakes here. Okay, so we talked about Portugal. Portugal has the blue on the left and the yellow on the right on the license plates. If we can get over to, I think we saw a typical poll for Portugal. So I think in the next few rounds, if we see, so a pole here, it has these holes in it and it looks like the Brazil pole with the 3 sections. This one might have 1, 2, 3, and then half of a fourth one. But those holes through the pole that looks Brazilian, that's going to be Portugal. So I think we'll do that. So if we see the blue and yellow license plate and those poles, either or, and we're pretty sure we're in Europe, then we're gonna send it to Portugal. We'll just click just outside of Lisbon. That's usually a pretty good hedge. So, all right, let's do another game. And we up against a Brazilian. There's like a Brazilian of them down there. Let's see. We're gonna end up, let's see. Is this Brazil? It's maybe not. We have an octagon pole. I was gonna say we're gonna get matched up in these countries against players that it is their native land. So Taqueria, we got the concrete octagon poles. I'm fairly satisfied that this is gonna be Mexico. Maybe let's check the sun just to double check. It is in the south. We'll give it the old Mexico City. And I guess Panama, and we are closer. So fine guess, Panama. They speak Spanish in Panama, and I don't see anything wrong with that. So we have long license plates with the blue this time. Sun is probably going to be difficult to see. See if we could find some language, though. So Latin letters, not Cyrillic. We'll put it in the middle of Europe. And these countries can be difficult for Americans to play. So America in the larger sense. And they went up to Poland, and it was Serbia. So I think you can see Cyrillic in Serbia sometimes. So yeah, you can for sure. All right, we have a white center line. We have sun in the north, and they look like white outer lines. So I'm not going to overthink this. I'm going to put it in Australia. This New South Wales label has been pretty generous to us in terms of all of Oceania. And they get it. So good guess. They got a few points on us there. No big deal. But that was pretty typical Australia round. We'll take another look at that in a bit. Okay, we are in at least Latin America, based on the architecture and the language. Let's see if we can find. So we have a concrete pole, octagon pole. Sometimes you can see the Senmex in here. I don't see it in this case, but we do have that white water tank that we talked about in the previous episode when we were talking about Mexico. Not the previous one, but a previous one. And the Brazilians are pretty good at differentiating Spanish and Portuguese, and they can often understand Spanish, even though Portuguese is their native language. It's a little bit tougher the other way around for whatever reason. So Spanish-speaking people have a more difficult time understanding Portuguese, but there's a lot of similarities there. So for the most part, they do a good job with those languages. So we started with Mexico. Then we had Serbia. So we're like typical Mexico, typical Europe. Australia. Let's take a look at that. We haven't seen a whole lot of Australia. So we do have the white lines. This salt and peppery roads, for some reason, they're common in like these really hot places. So you'll see similar roads in Texas. So if you have the yellow line in the middle and white on the outside, and you have a peppery road like this, maybe think Texas. And here's our big clue for, is it Northern Territory? I believe so. Yes, it says it up here. So these poles are made of metal, and they're usually rusted, and they kind of have these holes in them. So that is a really good indication that you're in the Northern Territory of Australia. And when we start to learn Australia, we will definitely be keeping that in mind. As I see these unique poles throughout the country, I'll highlight them, and then by the time we have to divvy up Oceania and Australia, we'll probably have to do them all at the same time. So New Zealand and then all the different states, we'll have a good background to do that. So, and then finally we had another Mexico. So we had the octagon poles, and I think we found a water tank, one of those white water tanks. So good round. Let's keep it rolling. We can do one or two more games. And yeah, so the point of these videos is like, I'm not making these incredible detailed guesses where I'm looking for a specific location. I'm kind of figuring out the region, the continent, and giving just a hedge based on that. And it looks like this player is on a little bit of a roll. So we have an exception plate. So for Europe. So we have the long ones in the back, but then we have the short ones in the front. We did say that was Italy in previous episodes. But the sun is in the south. We'll we'll give it our Europe guess for now. And I'm not sure if that's Poland or if it is Indonesia, but they did miss it. So our Center Europe guess is fine. Okay, let's take a look here. Immediate vibes are South America. Do we have, so in Argentina, you can often see a black spot in the middle of the license plate. Sun is in the north, so far that lines up. Let's see if we can, the spot is a little spotty. So let's see if we can verify that with another one. This one is more obvious, so that is clearly Argentina. So for Argentina, we're clicking a little bit outside of Buenos Aires, and looks like we're looking at a UFO. So the the Martians are coming to tell us we're in Argentina, and he's not quite sure. A good hedge there. So he got the sign from the skies and got it. All right, we have okay, we're again a South American vibe, or a Latin America vibe rather. Let's see if we can find the sun. Sun is in the south. Let's see if we can find some language, because I'm not entirely convinced that this is. We do have long license plates, so initial vibes may be off, and yeah, let's see if we can find maybe some language. Did we? Let me hit Z, so Z will bring you back. So, gosh, I don't know what language that is. Are we Turkey maybe? So that would kind of explain why it feels off for Europe. And we do have those flatter roofs. All right, let's go with Turkey, and let's do our East Coast hedge. Did they find the specific city? Wow, good for them. Wow, I don't think that I could have found that city. So nice job. All right, we are, that looks like a Brazilian poll. Let's check, do we have, so we don't have the Paraguay car. We do have Portuguese up here. I thought we did. Maybe not, but it does look like Brazil to me. So I'm not going to overthink this. So we're going just southeast of Brasilia, which is the capital city. And let's see. Looks like they're finding Brazil as well. And we are just a little bit closer. So Brazil, very difficult country to region guess, especially as a new player. It's easy to identify, but difficult to region guess. So here we're in Japan. We have this reflector. These guy wires are also kind of unique, and the yellow license plates on the boxy cars. So click on the Japan label. And I think our opponent will get this. Japan is a pretty easy country to recognize for newer players. And they did get there. And they may even know the reflector meta, but we're good there. Okay. Okay, so we have the Spanish-French style poles. We do have long license plates. I think we're going to be in France this time. I think so. France has blue on the left and right of their license plates. But again, we haven't spent any time specifically learning France, so I think we're just going to give this our regular Europe guess and hope for the best. So that is French language there. Um, and looks like they are finding Belgium or France. They're not quite sure. And they do a little bit of damage, but we're okay just guessing in Europe. So especially for newer players, man, Europe is a tough continent, or it can be. We have short license plates. We have a radio station up here. If you're from the US, you may know that FM is on the East Coast and, or not FM, I was going to say the W's are on the East Coast. So like WBLM in Portland, Maine is on the East Coast, and the K ones are on the West Coast. So, but the FM radio, very common across the US. We'll just give this the Kansas, Nebraska. This could be Canada as well. Canada has FM radio too. And it looks like they're looking for something in Texas. Amarillo. Okay. And man, they are good at scanning the map. I think we lost a few rounds to them scanning. So we'll take a look. Continue. And yeah, let's take a look at that game. So, Italy, we talked about the unique license plates in Italy. So they have these shorter ones in the front of their cars, but there is blue on both sides. So we actually talked about blue on both sides for two different countries, Italy and France. Okay, so let's actually look at Argentina. So we figured out this was Argentina with the black spots in the middle of the license plate, and then just the general vibe of South America. So let me bring up this here, and let's see if we can find a few examples of this. So here we're right in Buenos Aires, and we can see those black spots again. A lot of times, like, there's a lot of winter-ish coverage. So if we look at these trees, not a lot of green leaves on them. The other thing I would really like to show you is I think I have a better example in Uruguay, but they'll do a lot of pruning of their trees, like extreme pruning. So just in this general area of Buenos Aires and Uruguay, you'll see like it just looks like the trees are almost cut down to their not the stump, but like the trunk of the tree. So weird, unique thing for Argentina. This is a common route sign. So the black on the top and the white on the bottom. Argentina has both all white lines and sometimes white and yellow. I think one of my examples, we're actually going to be able to see both. Yeah, not that one. So just another example of all white lines. But it's a pretty diverse country, so the landscape changes quite a bit. If you were to get any of these last few that I showed confused with South Africa for sure here, on the other ones with all white lines with Australia, that would be a perfectly reasonable mix-up. Let me look up here. So here we have the yellow lines in the middle and the white on the out, and then the big mountains. So quite a big difference on how things look in this country. I really wanted to find that one where the lines change colors. So maybe I just didn't save my location. A lot of also very north-south roads. So you can't see my compass, but you can see on the map here, north and south, or east and west. You don't see that as often in some of these other southern countries. So here, like in Africa, they're going every which way. Similar thing to in Australia. So just something to be aware of there. Let's do a quick review of the Plonket guide. Um, and then I think we're going to call it a day for this. So this is that plate that gives the black dot in the middle. So we saw that a couple examples. They also have the blue on the top sometimes. It's similar to Brazil. Black car a lot. I think that's most of the coverage as a black car. So these poles look very similar to what we looked at in Peru. We looked at Peru, but the main difference is the direction of these. So in Peru, like all of these will be on the same side. In Argentina, they switch it up. So um, here's some examples of so yellow and white, and they will just mix that randomly. We looked at that sign, yellow reflectors. We saw that in our Peru guess the other in the other game. So yeah, there's a quick overview of Argentina for you. So continue to play those learnable meta maps and keep learning from there. Let's see where we stand right now. This wasn't as exceptional as the previous recording. We lost a few games there, but not a huge deal. I think we learned quite a bit. So yeah, but we are winning more games than we're losing this week. So that's the big thing, and we're not making like these amazing guesses that you need to have very specific knowledge about countries to get, or specific regions. We unfortunately we ran up against a few really good players, so but we were competitive, which is the main point of the channel. So if you learned something today, I'd appreciate it if you gave me a like, and if you want to continue learning, give me a subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode.